Broadway, Kiss of the Spider-Woman, the musical, is brought to you in part by your Tri-State Toyota dealers. I love what you do for me, Toyota. By Weaver, take our word, Weaver, that's how to eat. And by 1-800-Flowers, the 1-800 number for flowers. Now, here's your hosts, Pat Collins and Robert Morse.
The curtain has gone up across the street at the Broadhurst Theater on Kiss of the Spider-Woman. I'm Pat Collins. This is my co-host, Robert Morse, the star of True, How to Succeed in Business. I should say the Tony Award-winning star. You have been through, I don't know how many of these opening nights. You're a veteran of this sort of thing. Is it always this nerve-wracking?
Well, I've had about 7 opening nights on Broadway, and I've had many other opening nights across the country doing True when you're out of town. But I would say Broadway is when you really get the sickest, when you get the most nervous.
This is when the Pepsi and the Excedrin and all those other remedies come. Although this cast has played in Toronto and played in London, and I thought they wouldn't be nervous, but here's the headline. They are nervous.
You bet. And Kiss, you know, has been a very big hit in London since last October. That's Kiss of a Spider-Woman. And it hopes to match its success on Broadway tonight. An opening night is the moment of truth, and here's how Kiss went from the pages to the stages.
Kiss of the Spider-Woman began as a novel by Argentine writer Manuel Puig. The book then became a play. In 1985, it was made into a film starring Raul Julia and William Hurt, who won an Oscar as Best Actor.
Spoiled and weak, enjoy what life offers you. What life offers me is the struggle. You're dedicated to that, pleasure becomes secondary.
It was in Toronto that Kiss of the Spider-Woman was transformed into a lavish musical. Kiss is the story of an openly homosexual window dresser and a political activist thrown together as cellmates in an Argentine prison.
Of course, dressing things up is my speciality.
From Toronto, the show traveled to London's Shaftesbury Theatre, where it received rave reviews and won the prestigious Evening Standard Drama Award for Best Musical. Now, Kiss has arrived on Broadway, just in time to qualify for this year's Tony Award nominations.
Opening night, believe me, is a lot of nervous anxiety and a lot of ritual, and part of that ritual is, you know, the millions and hundreds of celebrities that arrive in their limousines, and Pat caught up with some of these celebrities that are in the house tonight, and as they arrived earlier, let's go over there.
I wouldn't miss this for anything in the world. Chita Rivera is a very, very close friend of ours, and so is Hal Prince. And I'm dying to see what they did with Kiss of the Spider-Man.
How would you assess the Broadway season so far? Have you been to many shows?
Yes, we've been to a lot. I think we've had a very good season, but I think this is going to be the highlight.
Well, we know Three Man and a Horse is a good straight play, but what's the best musical on Broadway, do you think?
I think it's Kiss the Spider-Woman.
Have you a lot of expectations for this show because of the team that's involved?
I'm friends with Chita Rivera, so that's really why I'm here. I always follow her work, and she's just great.
Blessed, and she's blessed, and she's going to spread her web of wonderfulness around Broadway tonight.
As you have done.
We're looking forward to it. Thank you. That's sweet.
Are you nervous for Chita? She's one of your best friends. It's been 7 years for her. Are you especially nervous for her?
I'm excited. I mean, I trust Chita. Chita's one of the greatest performers in the world. But I'm just nervous in general because I care so much.
For Robert Morse, when your shows, you're backstage, it's 3 minutes before curtain. Do you want to know who's out front? You want to know Jacqueline Onassis is in the third row?
No, you see that clip they just showed with all the people arriving out front. I mean, I never want to know. I just don't want to know who's out in front of me. It makes me nervous. It just gets me very, very tense. There are some people that can take all that, but I just want to be very quiet backstage. I don't want to know who's out front. I just want to do my job, you know, and makes me go crazy.
Now that we're on this subject, what else makes you nervous? I mean, do you have other little strange superstitions?
Yes, I do. As a matter of fact, I've never signed in. For some reason, I've never signed in Backstage. I have never, what else?
Your analyst has gone over this with you many times.
I don't even like them to announce half hour. It's just that maybe it's something to do with not wanting to be there.
This is probably an hour of heavy psychoanalysis. I know Backstage tonight, Chita Rivera, very nervous, very excited. First time back on Broadway in 7 years. Ooh. And she's in the part of Aurora. And what audiences will see on this stage is two worlds. There's the prison cell that confines the two main characters and this incredible fantasy world that they escape to. And central to that fantasy world is Aurora, the movie goddess, played by the incredible Chita Rivera. And we want to show you a sneak preview of that number, and it's called Her Name is Aurora.
Yes.
Last night, I went to see the gypsy. And all the things she had to say. She told me I would meet a stranger, a lean, handsome hero who'd sweep in and sweep me away.
Later on, we'll be live backstage in Chita's dressing room, and Liza Minnelli, Jack Klugman, Tony Randall.
Yes.
A lot of celebrities.
We
so
are
stay
live.
with us.
We are live, and we're here, and we'll be back right after this.
And I'd like
to take a long, hard look at me.
Meet Kander and Ebb and Hal Prince, the creative team behind Kiss of the Spider Woman. And later, go backstage.
Come on into the dressing room.
Where can I see them?
Sideways. So would they be down a wardrobe?
I says we do not have makeup. Love it.
Dwayne, you all set on projections?
Robert, it has to be comforting as the Broadway star, and you've been in this position to know that the creative team is a brand name. They're not doing it for the first time.
Oh, true. At J. Press and Allen, and of course other musicals. Another musical would be How to Succeed, in which it was Abe Burrows and Bob Fosse and Frank Lesser.
Those are good names. And here we have good names too. In fact, some would say the best in the business at the moment. Hal Prince, the director.
Absolutely.
And Kander and Ebb, John Kander and Fred Ebb, the fellows who collaborated with Hal Prince on Cabaret. And Kander and Ebb, also famous for the unofficial anthem of New York. Dum, 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 dum,
That's where we are.
That's where we are. Yes, take it away, Kander and Ebb.
Start spreading the news. I'm leaving today. I wanna be a part of it. New York, New York.
Very clear what you're saying is, give me the drug I need. In other words, escape. Yours is, I can, oh God, and then finally, I will.
Hal Prince, the director of such hits as Phantom of the Opera and Cabaret.
Listen, I know that every single thing we're dealing with, grappling with this week is because we're in a different theater.
Wait a second.
So we have to solve it.
John Kander and Fred Ebb, the songwriter and composer team with an enviable record.
Are you sure?
Kander and Ebb discovered Liza Minnelli for Flora the Red Menace. They went on to write Cabaret and many other hits. On Broadway, they are considered a star's best friend.
Freddie said you walked in here one day with a little red hat on when you were like 17, 16 years old, and that was it. And that's true. And really, we've worked together ever since. They write the best songs in the world as far as I'm concerned.
Kander and Ebb's latest collaboration is daring and provocative. But the question is, will it be a commercial hit?
What is there about the Kiss of the Spider Woman property that interested the two of you? And I believe the idea started with you.
Started with Fred.
Yes.
Well, I found it intriguing. I loved the contrast it offered us between the life of two men in a cell, a prison cell, which is by its nature sort of grungy and depressing and down, and the world into which he escapes, one of the men, in order to alleviate some of the pain of his situation. And that's a very glamorous, beautiful, fanciful world. And I love the juxtaposition of those two elements.
So close your eyes and you can be a movie star. Why must you stay where you are?
Now, talking about the commercial aspects of a property, is that ever a consideration?
Well, I wouldn't
when you
know.
two of you sit down to put together a show?
There's nobody who really knows what is commercial and what isn't. In the days when I did read reviews and remember them, I can remember that the last line of the Variety review for Cabaret was, "It is unlikely there will be much of an interest for this sort of thing." Unlikely there will be much of an audience for this sort of thing. So nobody knows really what captures the audience's imagination.
You've got to learn how not to do what you've done.
The number you're looking at was added in London, but not before Kander and Ebb disagreed with director Hal Prince about the song. Its original title was Take a Look at Yourself.
Take a long, hard look at me, you owe it to yourself. I'm not the lamb I used to be, you owe it to yourself.
We put it into the show. We put it in the show twice, at least twice, 2 different permutations of it. Over the last summer, a year ago, they were writing, and they kept coming back to it and coming back to it. And I was away, I was in Europe, and their faxes would go back and forth. And I could tell they were getting pretty annoyed at my faxes, but I wanted a new number.
It was very hard to say to yourself, never mind what you like, try to come up with another one.
They wrote a new number, finally, and it's almost my favorite number in the show.
Prince almost always gets his way, but then Hal Prince almost always turns out a hit musical. Here are just some of the shows that had the princely touch.
See, none of it's even. The 2 pieces of glass which make the projections are different. And until they're equalized, every time we lower one, we destroy that one.
Hal Prince is a major creative force in the theater, and he has 19 Tony Awards to prove it. He's a buck stops here kind of director. He has mounted this show for slightly under $7 million, which is just under what it cost him to do Phantom of the Opera.
Turn your face away from the garish light of day.
The public has come to expect surprise from Hal Prince. They've come to expect, in many cases, spectacular from Hal Prince. So has Hal Prince painted himself into a corner?
You have to define the difference between expressing yourself and repeating yourself. It's the damned hardest thing in the world to do. In other words, what you are and what goes through here and your taste will always show up in your work, and then over a lifetime of it, people will define it and say, you see that he was more political or he, whatever. On the other hand, repetition is very bad. Now, because essentially if you repeat yourself, you're likely never to be as fresh the second time as the first time.
Kiss of the Spider Woman, one of your central characters is a homosexual. In a politically correct environment in 1993, was that character a challenge, and how to present him?
No, I don't think it was especially difficult to animate him, because the book is really good. Terrence McNally wrote the libretto, and it's very strong and at the same time compassionate. So I don't think that. I think the one thing you want to avoid is campiness. You want to avoid stereotyping.
The nicest thing about being happy, you think you'll never be unhappy again.
I wouldn't want to be in a cell with Molina when the show begins, and I think he's made an enormous journey by the end of this musical, and I think a lot of it is through the image of Aurora in movies in which goodness and truth and valor, all the things Molina thinks he can't be in life, are shown to him that there is another way, and he ends up embracing it, but through love of another human being.
I can't hear what you're saying.
I don't miss you inside me.
He's in a jail cell with the most rigid, most macho guy in the world, And he himself, besides being gay, considers himself to be rather superficial and flighty, and he really has very little self-respect. And by the end of the piece, the two of them have given each other something that even their tormentors can't take away.
Is there a feeling that Hal Prince has to keep topping himself?
No, I don't. No, I don't think I deal with that. No, I just enjoy what I'm doing. Maybe too much.
Don't miss a beat. There's more music and dance to come on Live from Broadway, Kiss of the Spider-Woman, the musical.
When I was young. We're upstairs at the bar at Sardi's. Yes, we are.
Yes, we are. And across the street, opening night of Kiss of the Spider-Woman.
Exactly.
And Robert, what I've come to notice about the cast and crew of hit musicals is that after a period of time, they become very intimate. They become very family-like.
Exactly. We have Christmas and Thanksgiving together.
And the Kiss crew is just like that. It's a remarkable group of men and women. And we took our cameras backstage. We've been following them throughout this entire process, going into the Broadhurst Theater. Watch this. I think you'll find a lot of secrets about this Broadway show you may not have known before. Look at this.
Border drop number 5, please, down to about head high.
Okay, tell me how you want it done, Chris.
Just presetting one of my props right here. Gotta go.
Okay, just to confirm, this is coming up the line that says Spider, as far as I'm concerned.
That's correct. Okay, can you just move 7 and 8? Okay.
In conceiving the design for the set for Spider-Woman, it really needed two things. The story itself has one aspect of which deals with the reality of living in a prison, and the other is the fantastic element of dreaming and thinking about movies. And in designing that, I needed a set that could do both, that could take projections and that could confine the actors.
Okay, you're good at the top. Let's trim the bottom. Yeah, you're good. They have what the cues are on paper. The stage manager, my job is with the winch man downstairs to tell them where the pieces want to go. That's about it there, yeah.
Oh, you want to make a higher up?
From this console, I can program it to go to a particular location at some speed. And then when it's all programmed and we're running the show, it's a matter of selecting that cue and hitting go.
Essentially, each set that I do is designed as a kind of three-dimensional environment in which projections are laid onto them so that you're getting a dimension and you're getting image and you're getting an actual environment. So these projectors really work wonderfully in sort of giving me the intensity in terms of laying imagery onto the set, and it allows for enough, lighting quality for the actors themselves.
Let's not make more trouble. Let's make love.
Right, from the colors that I use in the show really blend with what the projections, just the color of the projections, and that's what I really try to complement as far as the floor and still being able to get side light into the dancers and to still be able to sculpt the bodies, to pull them out from the color imagery that's kind of above them and on the sides of them and below them. So really I just mainly got the color images from the slides, from the color of the slides.
And let's move number 4 upstage.
We use the Verilites, which really give us a whole range of a palette, and it's all on computer, and so the programmer and I put together the type of colors that we want to use. The process is lengthy, it's tedious, and but overall, I mean, the way the show runs, it's really like a machine. When it gets going, it really comes full force at you.
Check 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. This is my mic pack. This has to go in here so that I can, comes up through here. 1, 2.
Can you see this?
can tell you, we spent 2 weeks trying to get the right mic combination on Tim Curry.
It's really thick, Melina's mic. Yes, we thought of putting mics on people's heads, not necessarily on their heads initially, but around their heads in some of the equipment they were wearing on their heads in Starlight Express in London, which we did in 1984. And that was going to be a very loud show. And the sort of volume you get on a microphone pinned to someone's chest wasn't adequate for that. So we had to start thinking of new ways to do it. So we started putting mics around their heads. And as soon as we started doing that, we realized that it sounded a lot better than it used to on their chests. And one of the reasons that they sound better is as people move their head around on stage, when they're singing and they're looking one direction, looking down, looking up, the microphone position stays relative to the mouth. It stays constant. So the sound becomes much more invisible, and you don't notice that it's so amplified.
A sharp, piercing sound, and when you look around, the love of your life will be there.
Most of the power, I think, from good sound comes from its invisibility. Not that it's not there, but that you don't notice the changes happening. And sound is one of those, is a medium that, because it's invisible to people, is very powerful. You see lights come on and off, you see those sort of things happening. But if you can do sound seamlessly, then you can take people all sorts of places.
15 minutes. Trick or treat.
Come on into the dressing room.
Where can I see them? They're sideways.
So would they be down a wardrobe?
I says we do not have makeup. Love it.
Dwayne, you all set on projections?
Even though you're backstage and the audience should not know I exist, they should only see a show and remember the actors and remember the brilliant music and words and all of that. They don't know about us. But if they've come and seen a show that runs very smoothly, then we've done a good job.
You ready to go now?
No, it's not going to die.
We'll just do it. Ready?
Robert, musicals are now so technically more complicated than they used to be, right? Than 20 years ago?
Right, now they have a sound technician. I remember going into a theater, like the Schubert Theater, and there was a man with a cigar. I swear to you, and all he did was pull a switch, and that was your sound.
That was it. And now in this musical, we have $1 million worth of sound equipment. The soundboard alone that you saw in the previous piece, that's worth $500,000. You're going to hear some of that sound, see more of Kiss of the Spider Woman right after this. We'll be back live.
Live from Broadway, Kiss of the Spider Woman is brought to you in part by your Tri-State Acura dealers. Experience luxury and performance. Test drive an Acura.
Robert Morse, your Broadway debut was in The Matchmaker.
Oh, I'll never forget
Yeah, I
it.
bet you won't.
I remember when I got the part. When I got the part, I called my mother and father back in Newton, Massachusetts, and said, I'm going to be on Broadway with Ruth Gordon in The Matchmaker, and they're going to pay me $250.
Which
I was thrilled.
Seemed like a fortune. How old were you?
I was about, oh my goodness, in my 20s.
Yeah, early 20s. And that's
Yeah.
just about 23, 24 is when Chita Rivera made her debut in West Side Story. And now she's back after a 7-year absence. And it's a remarkable story. And Chita shared with me just how tough it was after this accident to get back to Broadway. Great story.
Chita Rivera lives in Rockland County in a charming 100-year-old farmhouse with her dog Natalie. It was here Chita recuperated from a 1986 car accident in Manhattan that left her with a broken leg. Now she is back, more glamorous than ever in the pages of Vogue magazine and on the stage of the Broadhurst Theater.
To what degree did the accident change your life?
When the accident happened, many people said, oh, you'll never dance again? It never entered my mind. I took it, and all of the training I had never allowed me to do anything else except fix it as best I could. So I kept charging forward. I never felt I was going back. Someone said to me, it'll just be different, Chita. And I said, no, it won't. Well, of course it's different. But different is good. different is fine. Different is a different time. Just a change. You can make the change great. So the 12 screws.
In your leg?
Make it interesting. In my leg, yes. There's only one in my head. But the 12 screws have, it's an interesting story, too. Besides, I go to the airport, and, you know, it sounds like a symphony when I go through, you know.
Oh, you set off the metal?
I set off all the metal.
So you're the one.
I'm the one.
Can you take them out?
I could, but it would take...
I don't mean now.
Just a little squeamish, aren't you, Bat?
Not me, I'm fainting a Band-Aid. No. And you have a couple of pins?
No, I have 12 screws.
Just the 12 screws?
In the bottom part of my leg.
Does it hurt?
And 2 braces. Not at all.
And it doesn't hurt when you're dancing?
No, not at all. Not at all. They're just changes that I have to adjust to. And
Are those incredible legs insured? I guess the answer is yes, aren't they?
No.
No, you don't have a separate insurance policy on
the minute they... I just never thought of that. They're just my legs, and, you know, I just keep them going. Play. Okay.
Okay, take your time there.
Oh, okay.
Okay, here we go.
Rod Marshall knows me, our choreographer, and he knows what he wants to see on me. I can't hit the floor really fast anymore, you know. I don't want to hit the floor really fast anymore. Excuse me, I'd like to gracefully go down. People have said for so many years, Chita, why don't you just take it easy, you know? You don't have to work so hard. I like working hard.
When anybody talks about this, it's the Chita Rivera musical. Is this a lot of pressure for Chita Rivera?
I hope not. I can't let it be a pressure. I really like what I'm doing, honestly. I mean, that's really the kind of person I am. The show is, there are 2 other actors in the show that are absolutely wonderful. Brent Carver and Anthony Crivello.
This is an interesting, complex human being. He's put into an environment, this 8x8 environment, that is, as a means of adding insult to injury, they put him specifically in a cell with a person like Melina, and it comes right up against this guy's Latin machismo, and who he is.
Making me sick with that prissy wine. Watch me now. You stick to your side and I'll stick to mine. Never, ever cross this line.
His name is Alberto Luis Molina. He has been picked up for a sexual indiscretion, so-called. He is a man who has watched old movies since he was a kid. And what struck him was this one character, and her name is Aurora, and she is a star. And his fascination with her, and with the hyper or ultra reality of the movies. And so when he is put in prison, his method of escape, because physically you're confined, he imagines himself in these movies, or imagines her in these movies.
Her name is Aurora, and she is so beautiful.
For them to cast me as Melina's fantasy is thrilling. I love it. I absolutely love it. This time in my life, I'm doing the part of a fantasy. I just have to be in a play that I'm really proud of, and a play that really touches people's buttons, you know, that makes them think, and I think this play does that. You know, it touches a lot of subjects that are very important today.
And because of those things, it's a risk.
Absolutely.
Anytime you're different,
Absolutely.
it's a risk.
I
So
mean,
it's a personal risk for you, too.
Absolutely. But, I mean, you walk out in the street, and everything is a risk. You know, I mean, I remember people walking out of West Side because they couldn't take the fact that what was happening on that stage was in their backyard. But those that stayed, you know, were given a great gift, even though we didn't win the Tony that year, which was kind of fascinating. Music Man won the Tony.
Is that right?
That's
the Music
kind of
Man won
fascinating.
over West
That's
Side
right.
Story.
So you have to really believe in what you're doing and really love what you're doing and know that if it's important enough, it will hang around it.
It's a survivor of a show with a survivor star, and I think people are very drawn to that.
I hope so.
Sure.
I hope they take time to think about that. And I love that block, Pat. I mean, across the street is Tommy. Next door is Crazy for You. Next door is Phantom. That's a great, great feeling.
You can scream, you can hide, but you cannot escape.
Wow, Brent Carver, you know, is the co-star. And this is his first big break on Broadway. He must be thrilled.
He must, and he came by the break in an odd sort of way. Richard Thomas, John Boy and the Waltons, was supposed to have this part. He dropped out for personal reasons. Brent was waiting in the wings. It was like one of those corny Hollywood movies. You're on, he's doing it. We'll be back right after this, live from the Broadhurst Theater. Kiss of the Spider Woman. Don't go away. At Sardi's opening night, Kiss of the Spider Woman, we have been joined, Robert Morse and I, by Michael York, who is in the audience tonight. You're having a night off.
Absolutely, yes.
You're across the street in?
Round the corner in Someone Who'll Watch Over Me.
This is the time you put in the plug for your show, Michael. This is what we do here.
Well, actually, I mean, there are lots of similarities. I mean, because our show is about men locked up in a prison and also fantasizing about certain things which, you know, become more real than reality in a sense. Also a show like this one about a big subject and about compassion, how we need to, you know, watch over each other, to have someone to care for you.
It's about
I was really moved and
You
impressed,
were.
and but it's also very entertaining, as we are.
One of the subject matters explored in Kiss of the Spider Woman is homosexuality, and one of the key things it's out there, yes. And you, I am reminding myself, played a bisexual character in Cabaret, and of course Mr. Morse was Truman Capote, who admitted to his homosexuality later in life. Let's just take a look at a clip, and then I want to ask you something about that. Let's take a look over here at this.
Nice.
Remind ourselves about how.
And I knew Garbo and Chapman since my very first visit to Hollywood, and I knew Marilyn Monroe well, and I knew Martin Luther King, and I knew Adlai Stevenson. As a matter of fact, we were staying in the same house when he died. When I heard, I quickly ran in and chose one of his neckties. A very nice.
Robert, you're identified with the skirt-chasing roles, and now here you are in true playing Truman Capote, who said he was homosexual later in life. Any thoughts on your part that you would not play the part? Did you have any doubts about playing that part?
Well, I never thought of it as a gay part. I mean, I thought of it as a good part, you know. But I would say in 1993 it was different than when you did.
But also, things were changing. This was Cabaret was 1971, so thank God things have changed.
They have. They have. Cabaret's success started it, and I think true success is one example of how the audience has changed. The audience is more accepting of plays and musicals with gay themes and homosexual characters. And at this moment, in fact, there are 7 shows on Broadway, off-Broadway, that deal to a greater or lesser degree with homosexuality. And in Kiss of the Spider Woman, as we said before, key character, Melina, is a gay window dresser and ends up being the hero of the play. It's a very interesting development, I think, that's happened in the theater.
And a very welcome one.
And a welcome one, too, yes.
By dressing them from earrings down to their boots, in evening dresses or suits, unlike some second-rate fruits and other second-rate stores, which can't compare to my own. You'll never catch them wearing a frown, or catch them dressing me down for my Venus, dressing them up.
Molina, the window dresser in Kiss of the Spider Woman, does not conceal his sexual preference. 25 years ago, when Hal Prince directed Cabaret, homosexuality was a taboo subject on Broadway.
The only thing we did wrong with Cabaret, way back in 1966, as far as I'm concerned, is we didn't make the leading character, the one that everyone thought was based on Isherwood, we didn't make him homosexual, we made him romantic. By the time Bobby Fosse did the movie, which was a good 6 years later, right, times had changed so that he was able to restore it, restore the homosexual subplot, and it was then acceptable. The movie was an enormous success. So I think as such, homosexuality has been an acceptable subject in films and the theater for quite a long time.
Falsettos has been a success on and off Broadway. It's an emotional grabber that deals with AIDS in a unique and often comic way. Angels in America is Tony Kushner's epic work about gay life in America. The play has already won a Pulitzer Prize.
Names are important. Call an animal Little Sheba and you can't expect it to stick around.
Jeffrey is a satire about a homosexual New York waiter who vows to become celibate in the age of safe sex.
Steve. Yeah, Jeffrey. Jeff.
The Night Larry Kramer Kissed Me is a gay coming-of-age play by David Drake.
They said, you can't be gay. I said, I am. They said, it's a phase. I said, I don't think so.
Homosexuality is not the main focus of Kiss of the Spider Woman, but the fact that one of its central characters is allowed to be who he is a healthy sign of the times.
He's so sweet, he's so lovable, he's so funny.
I think Molina presses buttons to the heart, hopefully.
Michael York, thank you for stopping by at
Thank you for having me.
Sardi's,
It's
and
very
you're on. These are his tickets, folks. So where are we going now? To the cast party?
The supper club.
To the supper club.
The night is young.
Yeah, that's right. Thank you, Michael, very much for stopping by.
Nice to see you. Now, listen, the curtain's down and Backstage is chaos, and we'll be there right after this, so follow us.
Marquee Hotel, conveniently located on Broadway in the heart of the theater district and featuring The View, New York's only revolving rooftop restaurant and lounge.
Well, hello, 3 men on a horse. We're looking for the horse. What happened to the horse? It's not here. This is, of course, the Odd Couple, and I don't want to be in between them right now. I'm just going to let them talk. How'd you like the show tonight, or anything you want to say?
Hi,
By the
Bobby.
way,
How
you
are
certainly come prepared,
My
John.
God. Give me a course and take me
The
along.
opening night is over.
You're so wonderful. God, it's like old times.
Remember the commercials where they used to drink beer on
that
television?
Yes.
They don't allow that.
They don't allow it anymore. No, they don't.
This was some play.
Did you enjoy it?
She's a national shrine. She's so
Chita
wonderful.
Rivera.
Oh, Chita Rivera.
It's very interesting.
I
This
love
boy, Brent Carver, who everybody will know who he is tomorrow. He'll be a big star. But this is his first time in New York. And so far as I know, except for the London engagement of this, his first time out of Canada. But a dozen years or so ago, I worked with him in Canada. He's very well known up there indeed.
Yeah?
And we played in Halifax in the Seagull for John Neville. And
That's not Canada.
I can see you.
Halifax is not Canada.
Is that Canada?
Yes.
How do I know?
Of course
Right
it's
away.
Canada.
I'm sorry, I got to interrupt. We have to go to see
No, I
Pat.
thought it was Alaska.
They're going to be in the road company of Spider-Woman. Don't worry, you'll see them there. They'll switch parts.
Those costumes don't fit well.
Live.
And there are more flowers here than any florist shop in town.
Well, they're all up on the 6th floor, Pat.
And Chita Rivera, a star, everybody. And the best buddy of the star tonight.
Oh, you bet, you bet, you bet.
When did you stop breathing? When did you start breathing? First act.
Because I've been waiting for Liza, too.
I still am not breathing. Really, at one point, I took a big breath because you had just hit some incredible, insane note. The arms went up as only Chita's arms can go. And the whole theater was hers, and she owned it with just one movement and one note. And I think that I was sitting next to Joan Rivers, and I went... She even looked at me. It was so thrilling.
I was shaking like a leaf.
It broke Joan
Like a
Rivers'
leaf.
jewelry. That's the reason
Fear
I
will
don't
do
like
all
it.
sorts of things, won't it?
But
But what a
people go
wonderful night,
crazy
yeah.
for it. It was
Oh
just
my
so
God.
wonderful. Now tell me, do you know, lady, that you have been nominated for a Drama Desk Award for Best Actress in a Musical?
No.
Yes. Yes. I thought I would bring some good news. And I have more good news. The show has been nominated for Best Musical. Yes. We just got news of this about an hour ago, so we are so thrilled for you.
Well, it's been a year.
And
it's been 3 years for the collaborators.
Now, I can't, now, I have a personal note. Let's get your daughter over here. The bride, come on, Lisa, over here. No. My baby. That's right. And there's something we need to tell about the baby. The baby's getting married. Yes,
she's getting married.
When is the wedding?
July 18th.
And who are you marrying?
Donnie Kerr.
And what show is Donnie Kerr?
He's in Tommy. And
Liza, and maid of honor over here. Yes.
This is, Pat, this is just a wonderful, wonderful time for me with my wonderful, beautiful angel friends. And I just want to thank everybody because it's a good time for Chita.
It is a good time, and it's well-deserved. It's been 7 years since Broadway has had a chance to see this remarkable woman. And I've got to tell everybody to just get out there, get those tickets to see her again. And Liza, thank you for being with us tonight. And Billy Stritch over there, our good buddy, and rehearsing now for the wedding that's ahead. But
absolutely. And Rob Marshall, our choreographer, right
is over there. Yes, Rob. And now we're going back to our great friend Robert Morse live over at Sardi's. Hello. Hi, Robin. With got a couple of other people over there.
Hey, that was wonderful. That was great. Right. Well, you
And
know,
her daughter, Lisa.
Yeah, beautiful. You had problems about, when you have an opening night. I know this is throwing a fast question at you, Bree. You get nervous? Do you have? Do you get nervous?
No,
You have certain
I don't,
superstitions, or
Not a
do you
bit.
get to the theater at 3 o'clock?
No.
Throw up at 7?
No, none of that. Jack does.
Jack, you get nervous?
I'm very superstitious, like as if I bet on a horse. Same thing. I do crazy things. I pray a lot. I mean, every step is a prayer.
Well, opening nights are fun. We got a break. We'll be right back.
Promise you we will win. If not tomorrow, then the day after that, or the day after that.
Been brought to you in part by Mitsubishi, bringing you a full line of award-winning automobiles. Mitsubishi, the word is getting around. By Rockport, you should be in our shoes. By Thomas's English Muffins, there's a baker behind every nook and cranny. And by your tri-state quality Ford dealers. See your Ford dealer. See for yourself.
It is a party here at Sardi's opening night, Kiss of the Spider Woman. We have Lucie Arnaz, Lawrence Luckenbill, and one of the stars of the show, right over here, Anthony. Wonderful to see you. And
did they swallow it?
Yes. We have to know whether they did.
Certainly did.
Oh, good. You bet. That's
Was
wonderful.
there any moment that you thought, uh-oh, this isn't going the way I want it to go?
No, it actually was. It was very smooth for the most part. I think it's it's fortunate that we had a year under our belt already. And
That always helps, doesn't it, Lucie? And like, yes, they've been over in London where they've been a big success, and now with the Drama Desk nomination for Best Musical, it looks like they're on their way to being a big hit here. And you guys, how did you feel being out in the audience?
I'm still looking at him, and he just reminded me that we did Bye Bye Birdie together.
You did?
Yes. And all night long I'm going, my God, at Conrad Birdie, you've come a long way, Conrad.
Isn't that
We loved it.
I hadn't seen the show.
hysterical.
I heard about it because Chita did her show at the Supper Club just before she left to go on the tour. And this is a show. I mean, you couldn't stop jumping up out of your seat. I couldn't. This was fantastic.
And weren't
tonight.
you just blown away by the visual effects, the way the set
Everything's
looks?
going to be covered.
A real Hal Prince musical. It's a real Broadway show. It's a show. It's great.
And what can we see you in next? I'm the next Hal Prince. Yes. Well, the person we can see in the next Hal Prince musical is my co-host right here, Robert Morse, who will come in Showboat, the revival of Showboat, in about a year, would you say?
I would say so, yes.
So we'll be sitting here maybe at Sardi's.
But it's your night.
No, it is.
It is his night.
Congratulations to the cast
It's
and
his
the crew
night.
of Kiss of the Spider Woman. And from Sardi's, Robert Morse and I say good night to all of you.
Thank you. Bye.
Good night.
One kiss that can puncture such bliss. Her kiss. Sooner or later, you bathe in success, and your minions salute. They say nothing but yes, but your power is empty. It fades like the mist. Once you've been kissed.